This video is sponsored by Hardwood Amino, a mobile social network made for connecting with fellow NBA fans. Hop into a multitude of daily public chat rooms with a variety of topics around the league to choose from. Take quizzes and test your knowledge of the game. Participate in polls and make your voice heard. Read top-notch articles and blog posts about your favorite teams and players. And that's right, you can also create. That's true for all the above categories. Write your own articles, submit your own polls, your own quizzes for others to take and respond to. There are over 60,000 members, all NBA diehards you can meet and interact with. It's available for both iOS and Android, and if you want to download it and try it out, hop over to my page and follow me at Clay Allen. I'll be posting polls and other content of my own to gauge your reactions and get input on future video projects. Alright, check out Hardwood Amino. They've been consistent supporters of the channel, and let's get into the video.
Back out to Allen. Clay for three.
Previously on Clay Allen TV. With every sprain, risk of re-sprain becomes higher and higher. This sentiment was echoed by Dr. Richard Furcal, the surgeon who performed Steph's second procedure in 2012. Dr. Furcal, in regards to Steph himself, warned that even mild sprains can come back to haunt a player months later, even years later, as they often cause collateral damage to the surrounding ligaments and cartilage, which weaken with each sprain. And again, we see this in Steph's injury history. He'll have a relatively long stretch of perfect health, almost a full year. All of a sudden, he'll come down wrong. One sprain dominoes to 2, 3, even 4 within a couple months, and the gap between incidents closes little by little while the severity of the injuries becomes greater. So, yeah, I guess I got a few things I need to address. So I dropped that little mini documentary outlining Steph's history of ankle issues with the focus on how that compares to what he'd suffered this season, to contemplate basically whether there's any call for real concern. I put it up, didn't think much of it. Just 1, maybe 2 days later, this happens. A couple games pass and then that happened. Both instances I got people blowing up my phone, Instagram, Twitter, DMs, everyone adding me, got people returning to the video expressing confusion in the comments, all of whom fall into 2 groups. You got the ones claiming I'm some sort of fortune teller, like I prophesied this shit, and that had people start to get, well, actually concerned. Then you got the naysayers saying I jinxed it. And I'm not talking about the jokers. There were people legit thinking I straight up put a hex on Steph Curry, that I cursed him. I mean, hell, even I didn't expect the next steps to show through so soon. And I understand it. People get superstitious, especially in sports. I remember I had a phase as a kid where I had to wear specific cologne before watching the game, and I truly believe that if I forgot to spray that damn thing on me prior to the matchup, I'd be solely responsible for ending the win streak. I know, some dumb shit. It seems absurd at this point, but it's sports and we all have our little rituals. But the truth is, both sides were incorrect. I'd been wanting to put that video together since Steph first went down at the beginning of December, and the idea, the concern itself, anyone who's been watching him since the start of his career, they'll understand what I'm about to say. Ever since those 2 disastrous sophomore-junior seasons, the thought has been lingering in the back of our minds. Curry hits the floor hard, gasp. That right foot slips unnaturally, gasp. You notice him favoring one leg over the other, gasp. Any sudden movement had us panicked. But time goes on, no serious incidents, and naturally you push these thoughts to the back of your head, but it doesn't mean they're not still there, creeping, lingering, waiting for the right moment to hop back up. Steph's 5 straight years of near perfect ankle health were enough to subdue him, but those 5 seasons he still suffered a few tweaks. They just didn't keep him off the floor much and became, in the grand scheme of things, sorta insignificant. So then this season, when you start to see him go down, when he's missing time, when that ankle's retweaking on its own with no provocation, those thoughts start to creep back up. Pretty soon they're really there on your mind more often than not. And I start replaying history in my head, start noticing parallels. So when I began my research and I start seeing these patterns and these trends manifest again, it became quite apparent where this road could very possibly be heading. That's why I kept stressing those points. When you start recognizing the pattern, you see the direction things are going, and it becomes no different from a mathematical formula. So when Steph first went down against Atlanta, and they immediately just threw him right back out there, while most had probably already brushed it right off after watching him come right back in the game and drop 11 points in just 122 seconds, closing the half with a whopping 25 points in 18 minutes. I was simply beside myself. After the research I'd just done, after the history I'd just revisited, witnessing all the troubling issues all over again, the instances where he'd been rushed back early and inevitably paid the price, knowing what I now know about ankle health and the precautionary measures that must be taken at all costs, after reading up on Grant Hill's story and all the decisions he regrets looking back on his career, I couldn't believe the risk they were taking in a meaningless regular season matchup with Atlanta, the bottom-feeding Hawks. All this talk about we're not worried about the 1 seed, and yet there we were, risking it in Atlanta, then risking it in Brooklyn. I mean, at that point, if you'd seen my video, the most recent sprain against the Spurs should have been no surprise. It's gotta be just a pride thing. It's just ego, and I understand that, believe me, after everything he went through, to want to prove to himself that this ankle stuff isn't a thing and is not gonna hold him back again. I get it. I mean, you saw what transpired when he got back out there. The man was possessed. He was on a mission. This was all but confirmed by Steph's own comments following the game. He and Coach Kerr made it clear that they essentially had to force him to sit the rest out after they caught him limping around in the third quarter. Here's Steph after that game. Basically, their call. Frustrating, but big picture, I understand. I don't think it's going to be anything that will keep me out. His outlook's just simply been too positive. Fine, it won't hold you back. Might make you feel better in the short term, but 6 days later, now it's gonna hold you back. Perhaps for longer than if you just accepted it at the first moment. And not just that, perhaps you sacrifice some more strength and stability in the ankle. Perhaps it could lead to a re-sprain closer to or in the playoffs. Perhaps it could lead to a forced third surgery. It's like when he re-sprained it during shoot-around, not but 10 days after returning from the December injury. He's quoted then calling it a freak accident when clearly it was not. According to him, his own words, it was a routine shooting drill he's done his entire career. That initial one in New Orleans, that was a freak accident. This was a re-sprain due to weakened ligaments, cartilage, and structures. And it's scary to think that multiple years of surgery, rehab, bulking up, play style adjustments can bounce you back all the way to square one just like that. All it takes is one freak accident. But that's exactly how Steph's got to look at this. Back to the drawing board. Enough ego, enough convincing yourself it won't be an issue. Just treat it as the minor issue it is before it turns major. At this point, the most important thing is rest. Rest and rehab. And especially now with an undermanned, injury-ridden group, Clay, KD also out, possibly Draymond too now, and multiple others missing time here and there, it's imperative the next man up culture that the Warriors are constantly gloating about proves to be true once again, specifically for Steph, because we've seen how easily those injuries can be re-aggravated without substantial rest, and this team needs him healthy for the playoffs. Whether he's the best player on the team, it's debatable. But what's absolutely not debatable is that this team, this entire system, was molded around him. He's the glue. Without him, it falls apart. The Splash Brothers become just another team with one lethal shooter in the starting lineup. KD turns back into his OKC alter ego. A transcendent scorer, yes, but not a winner. And that's not a jab at him. It's just the reality of the type of system he needs to be that Finals MVP he was last season. And Draymond, a pure winner in every sense of the word, but without Steph, he's really just another hustle everything, defensive monster, a player every team needs, every team seeks to acquire. The ultimate right-hand man, but at the end of the day, a right-hand man still, a Pippen without Jordan. Alright, so we've established that rest is the priority as of now. Now, has that always been the case? Is that all it takes? Just sit him out a few weeks, have him come back stronger than ever, take off, never look back, all issues just poof, gone, just like that, with the wave of the magic wand that is rest? No, of course not. Rest can only get you so far. It's been a long road from 2010 to present day, from despair to consecutive MVPs, to championships, to history, followed by history, and more history made. It's been surgeries, it's been experimentation, it's been extreme anxiety, yet still maintaining enough belief for ultimate perseverance through more rigorous rehabilitation than we could imagine. It's been doctors, trainers, surgeons, specialists brought in to oversee it, most notably Keek Lyles, who was a former basketball player whose career was derailed by a condition known as, and I'm gonna try my best here, femorotubular impingement, aka a condition where excess bone growth creates excruciating pain in the hip, thus leading to his new infatuation and a career spent obsessing over how to fix athletes. This also led to a specific theory that he wanted to implement on Steph Curry. See, he believed that Steph was already one of the greatest in the game at changing direction, but perhaps in order to achieve that speed and that quickness, he was forced to rely overwhelmingly on his ankles. His ankles couldn't support his overly ambitious methods. Kirk Lacob said it best: the way Steph moves, 98% of the world would hurt themselves trying to run like that. So Lyles explained his theory like this: shiftiness is an ankle strategy, but power comes from the hips. We wanted to teach Steph how to load his hips to help unload his ankles. And that's exactly what they did. Steph went from that skinny, delicate, nimble guard who could deadlift no more than 225 to reaching 400 pounds, more than twice his body weight, and second to none other than Festus Ezeli at the time, the Warriors' former 7-foot center. That took him 2 full seasons of rehab, but he quickly mastered the new workout techniques, impressing even Lyles, who'd worked with countless others over the years. In only 10 minutes, he conquered the hip hinge and a trap bar deadlifts in his first session, which ordinarily takes players a full week to learn. Steph's been through that hell already. In his second summer of that rehab period, Steph told his personal trainer, Brendan Payne, "I feel like I've been doing nothing but rehabbing for 2 years. I feel like I'm never going to be able to play again." This is why I'm able to empathize with Steph. I understand the need to stay positive and stay hungry and push through injuries with the hope of leaving them behind him for good once more. But if he truly wants to achieve that, he must look within and realize it's not so bad, not nearly comparable to what he'd already suffered, and use that to stay positive and motivated in a more mild-mannered way. Give the body the rest it needs. Continue with these workout methods that he's got down to an art form, and focus on not reverting to those methods of old. As rare and mind-blowing as that play style is, there's a reason we haven't really seen it done in the past. It's because he's so ambitious, he's literally pushing the boundaries of what his body can physically do. I'm a strong believer in the conviction that many others in Golden State's inner circle, including Steph himself, hold. That without the near career-ending injuries he'd endured, he never would have been pushed to become the player he is now. The full package, optimal core strength, speed, quickness, agility, and power, the best of every technique embodied in one athlete. And with Golden State on the brink of a true dynasty, he can't afford to lose that now more than ever. So in the meantime, who steps up? Now when we talk about replacing Steph Curry, it's important to not take it literal. Nobody replaces Steph, but one thing I always come back to on this channel when discussing the Golden State Warriors is plug and play pieces. Players you can drop into the rotation, into the system easily without worrying about adjusting the game plan or any other things too much. And that's because of how important it is for this team to maintain its tried and tested formula. It's the first thing they look at when they're adding players in free agency, making small adjustments or small improvements. Swaggy P, that's Barboza. D West, Zaza, that's Bogut, that's D Lee. Patrick McCaw, that's Iguodala, and a little bit of Livingston. Jordan Bell, that's Draymond, straight up, and a little bit of JaVale McGee. Almost every addition will have their counterpart. So who's Steph's then? That's what we'll be talking about in the next video, and I apologize. I know I've been inconsistent lately. I've been running around trying to catch up with things at school and outside of YouTube, but the rest of the month is going to be straight bangers and consistent uploads. Multiple videos a week, so keep those post notifications on, not just for this follow-up, but for everything else we got coming, and make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already. Now if you want to see some more extra content, extra edits, behind the scenes stuff like the one that you saw at the start of the video, head over to my Instagram and Twitter at ClayAllenTV. And if you haven't seen the prior Steph documentary yet, you should probably go check it out. I strongly feel like it may be my best work to date. And if you still have any unresolved questions or concerns about Steph Curry's ankle issues, that should clear most of it up for you. The link will be in the description and on screen at the end of this video. And also, much of the information for this video came from an ESPN article entitled "How Steph Curry Got the Best Worst Ankles in Sports." Great read. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. That being said, as always, leave your thoughts, feelings, perspectives in the comment section down below. Clay Allen, stay ballin'. I'm signing off. Peace.